Welcome back, you guys. Tonight we're going to have a very, very interesting build. Now, I know there is an absolute ton of you guys that have been asking, requesting, patiently waiting on what are we doing with the G3. Now, as you guys know, if you've been following me for a little bit of time here, back in mid-2019, we put out one of our first G2C videos, and it has about 720,000-ish views on YouTube. And going forward from that day, we've done nothing but come up with other ideas for the G2C, and then of course we got our hands on the G3. Now, a lot of those guys already own a G2 Millennium PT111, something along that line, and they have transitioned over to the little bit bigger brother, the G3, and they're very curious as to what those offerings are. Now, what you're going to find out is optic cuts, stuff like the dovetail cut, upgrading to those Glock sights, Raptor cuts, Cobra nose, single top window, all that stuff that we see in the G2C videos, also the stuff that's listed on the webpage, that's all still offered. You can still get all of that stuff down here, Raptor cut, Cobra nose, windows, triple top windows, optic, dovetail, all of that stuff can be done, okay? But I do know for a fact that we happen to have a lot of people that are targeting a side window. We've been asked that a lot from you guys. Hey, we're gonna do side windows, what's going on? Is that a possibility? And with the G2C and similar versions of that, they have that little scalp that was done here on the edge, which prevented us from doing side windows because it kind of just didn't lay right. It was too low to the internal rails. It was too high because of the scalp. So that happens to be an issue that we had with the G2C based models, and we are going to overcome that in this video here today. So I'm not going to go into great details of what we're doing because honestly, I really have no idea. And I've created a design that goes on the sides. I've created a couple different designs that's going to be on the top front zone, and I really just don't know how it's going to play. I don't know how it's going to blend from one to the other. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? So the idea for me here is let's cut the sides. Internally, I'm going to step back, look at a little bit of my drawings here, decide if what I've created in my head makes the most sense. Does it need to be revised, altered, or do I need to recreate something altogether that works with the sides just a little bit greater? Now, we also have a lot of other options here. Are we doing an optic? Are we going to do some sort of a Glock sight upgrade? Different scenario here. We have a little extra hole, so we have an actual round part that would be for the sight, and there's a little extra little plug here. So we're going to just kind of take it slow on my end. Of course, that's going to be pretty seamless for you guys on your end, but what that means is I really don't have any way of educating you on what we're actually doing because some of the stuff is as we go. It's a building block. We're gonna lay a building block down or a layer, and we're gonna build upon that to the next step. Of course, we also have a barrel in this mix now, don't we? So there happen to be a lot of key pieces to this puzzle that you're just gonna have to watch through. We're gonna get to the end of the video. I'm gonna give you some opinions on what I thought. I know we're gonna run into some challenges with the side how it's flat and it has that edge. We're gonna skip some challenges. We don't have the loaded chamber indicator bar that we'd see on the G2C. So overall, we're losing some negative values that we were seeing on the G2C. We're adding some positive values and some new hurdles. We've got some big text on the left and right hand side. We have that extra little hole in the front. So no doubt it's going to be a challenge, and this is one of the first ones that I've worked on. So like I said, some of those other services are already offered, but this happens to be one of the newest patterns that we're going to be turning out and that we will be offering as a service. So guys, let's jump over to the Tormach 770. Let's turn out that work. Who knows? We might make our way over to the laser. We're certainly going to get some color on it. We're going to do some barrel work and see what we come up with. All right, guys, looks like the work has been completed. Let's take a moment here and just kind of discuss everything. I know we didn't talk about it at the beginning because we really just didn't know sort of what we were doing. There's a lot of options on the G3. There's a lot more slide than what we get over the G2C and similar models. Let's kind of just go over it real briefly here. Then I want to give you some concerns that I have between you know, the older models of G2C and obviously doing the work, maybe some of the options of what also is available now that we've have a little bit more experience under our belt. So first and foremost, Optic has replaced the existing dovetail that was here. We did a forward dovetail, which is a Glock style. We modified the front sight hole to take a Glock iron sight. Now, something to take into consideration here is that the iron sights that are on here are a little too short. If you could look down through here, you could just barely use them as backups. To some people, that might be perfectly fine. Others want more of like a lower third co-witness. I would probably recommend going with the next step up. Now, this is something that we kind of sort of manage for you. Okay, so when you guys go through the process of the webpage of purchasing a service, you do have the option of actually buying the iron sights and having them installed for you instead of trying to, you know, get a sight pusher and put them in or order the right ones. So we do give you guys the opportunity of placing an order for slide work and adding iron sights to that slide work. Because keep in mind, whenever we cut the slide for the Optic, it is definitely not going to work with the factory iron sight. So they do need to be upgraded to suppressor sights. And of course, Glock has a large range of options there. So that's kind of the place to start. I also want to talk about the Venom here for a moment. The Venom happens to fit the gun just a little bit better than the others. This will kind of give you more of a view here of how much it hangs over the sides. There are other options and optics, I should say, that do fit this particular model slide. We could do something like a Viper, a Burris. We could do some of the smaller stuff that's out on the market, like the Shield RMSC, the Romeo Zero, the 507K Holosun. Now, let's not be confused with the standard 407, 507C model Holosun or Trijicon. That will not fit the slide as the screws are too wide for the slide. So if you take a look here, let's see if we can get you a little bit better view here. Where the screws are, you'll find out that there's a little bit of meat left over on the sides. With the Trijicon, they're actually closer to the sides and they would be protruding out the side. So we don't have any option with that. We don't offer any kind of a plate system or anything like that to get that other optic on there. I would recommend, if you are after something like a Holosun type deal, wait until the smaller micro model comes out. Sometime April, May-ish is the projected time, and that would be the optic of choice. So you do have some options if you kind of just kind of hang tight there. Let's talk about some of the cut work here and give you guys just a better idea. So we'll start with the sides. So on the sides, what we ended up coming out with was, it just ended up being fairly difficult because the rear has you know, the existing serrations. The existing serrations come down pretty far. They do come into where it mounts onto the actual rail on the frame. So we have to make sure that we're not cutting too deep. We want to make sure that we are going to be able to remove them all together. No doubt, I'm pretty pleased with the way that it came out. We cut pretty low. We did a jagged upward cut that matches pretty nice right here, how they flow together. One of the other things that you're going to notice in the video is we did a chamfered edge on the two long sides. So we ended up basically giving it a 45 from front to rear on this edge here, just allowing those patterns to flow a little bit better together. Definitely a nice choice. Now, I learned a lot in this process, and that was, everything just didn't work out as planned. You know, when you put it in the vise, it sits this way, and that means this is tapered. So you end up, you know, cutting off more on this side than you do that side, but how deep do you go? We want to make sure that we do remove the serrations. There was a lot more cleanup work than what I had anticipated that we would get, because most of the slides that we work on, like the Glocks and most of the M&Ps, the CZs, we don't quite get that edge that's on there. We do see that on a lot of the other weapons that are out there, like a lot of the Berettas and stuff like that. So it's not that we're just not seeing it on the other weapons, it's just that we don't seem to offer it on a lot of the common weapons that we do offer service for. So that kind of ended up being a little bit more challenging than what we had originally foreseen. Cobra nose, we're able to see some nice barrel out there. We'll get to that barrel here in a moment. I do think that as this being one of the first builds that we've done, I think that the pattern will probably slightly be modified and changed. I'm kind of one of those guys where I need to get 98% of the item in hand and then say, okay, I don't like this, I don't like this, I would change that, I wouldn't change this. So there's a lot of little things that we might tweak it as the process evolves. But I'm really happy the way that it came out, you know, for the first shot at this. So real pleased with that, but I could definitely foresee that we'll have some other patterns and that will definitely be altering this one ever so slightly to make it just blend a little bit better. Top one has serration, so we ended up doing these almost like a complete serration here, and then we end up doing these micro ones. Very interesting. Then the pocket obviously falls between the two. We're able to see some nice barrel out the top. We're able to get a little bit more traction out through the top as well. Really, really pleased overall with just kind of how it came out. Of course, we're going to add some pictures to the video if we haven't done so already to give you guys just a better visualization of what it does look like. Let's put the barrel in it. So we ended up going with a gold barrel. Really do like the gold. Obviously, titanium nitride is a very durable finish. We offer this on our webpage as a service. If you don't know where that's located, at the end of this video, we're going to take you guys kind of through how to find Taurus work if you do have a G2C, how to find the G3 Taurus work when it does become listed, how to get to the barrel polishing and some of the other services. So we do know that some of the stuff is kind of hidden in there. This ends up being a really good choice as far as durability and obviously visual upgrade, so we kind of get a bonus there on both of those. Honestly, if I was going to do it again, I might go with the copper. The copper is a little bit more of a darker tone. I'm not against gold, but to me, I see so much gold that I'm always after just something that isn't continuously on the beaten path. I like some stuff that's just a little bit farther off. So with that being said, maybe a darker gray, maybe something like a copper would be something that I would go with. Obviously, gold is the #1 choice, so we do see this as being very, very often purchased as a service. So this is going to go in through here before we put it all back together. Let's take a look at this. So really, really nice. Able to see some barrel, able to see some barrel. Of course, we're able to see some barrel over here. So one of the things you're going to notice before we put this all back together is the way in which the pattern is designed. We ended up doing it where it comes down through the side here, and then it kind of does this kind of weird jagged motion, and it keeps the Taurus. Now we also did the same thing over here because we wanted to keep that. Now I had thought in the future, well, what about doing like a ball nose serration on here all the way down the end and giving it some grip texture down through here, and of course we would end up doing the same thing down through here, so we would end up doing some sort of a ball nose maybe, and then down through here. So that'd give us the sides all the way gripped. It would remove the text. So once again, I think we have a lot of options for future upgrades and things that we want to do. The G3 obviously gives us a lot more options because it's bigger. It doesn't have that weird scallop that's on the side that you get with like the G2C and similar based models. So definitely something to take into consideration if you happen to already have a G2C, PT111, Millennium G2 or something like that, and you're thinking about buying something else, I would definitely look into the G3 as we're going to be having more options available just to the nature of there's more slide to work with. So guys, if you have not been following the channel, we do recommend that you do so. There's a ton of good stuff on there. One of our largest build videos that we've ever done was actually a G2C laser cut. We're going to put that in one of the corners here towards the end. We also want to take you guys quickly through the webpage, which we're probably doing right now as I'm talking about this, and it's going to kind of just show you how to get to the webpage. How do we get to the contacts tab? Okay, so we're going to go through that. It's going to go, we're going to go to services, then we're going to go down through there, we're going to go to Taurus. It's going to show you all the different services that are there. This is where the new services will populate. Okay, so as we start offering additional services, this is where you're going to find them. They are going to be listed specific to the model. So don't have a G2 and think, hey, let's get the G3 pattern. It's not going to work. They're going to be very specific to the models because the models are uniquely different from each other. So some stuff is offered, some stuff is not offered. So it just happens to be one of those deals where pay attention to the model, or when it comes in, it's not offered, we'll have to change the service or we'll have to refund and ship back. So let's make sure we get it right on that. Now, also, there is a contacts tab, as we had kind of already stated. This is kind of going to be the place that you're going to go for whenever you're just wanting to kind of just sort of give us that information of what's going on here. You got a question about something, you're curious about a work that we've done, you want to know if it could be done on a different model. This is where you're going to fill out that form. Instagram and Facebook, no doubt, is the place to be. This picture has already been surfaced over there and well received. There's a lot of people over there that are asking questions about it. When's it available? When's the video coming out? They like the work. It just kind of inspires everybody to get a feel for, hey, I've got a weapon that we can get some stuff done on. It isn't stuck where just it's a factory looking slide. So it's really a good place to be. Of course, if you're into the reviews, you want to know the company that you're supporting, Facebook, all the same pictures are posted from our Instagram onto our Facebook. So if you don't do Instagram, it's not a big deal. It's just easier to find on Instagram. But you can go over to our Facebook, and all of that stuff you can sort down through there. You can leave a comment if you don't want to do it on YouTube, or you can read the reviews. There's a ton of reviews on there. There's everybody that has had really big projects almost always seems to come back and they give you their opinion about turnaround time and quality of work and craftsmanship and communication and all that kind of stuff. So it just ends up being a really good place to go if you're just undecided on who you want to support as a company. that's definitely going to encourage you to make a good choice. So guys, feel free to reach out to me if you have just any questions about anything, and we'll just see what we come up with. We've got a lot of other real big build videos coming out. Obviously, this is one of them that we had all been kind of waiting on, and let's just see what we come up with on these future builds.